All right, ladies and gentlemen, just over the weekend, the news business lost another giant. You know, there's been a rash of a number of excellent journalists recently that we have lost, but perhaps none greater than Arnaud de Borchgrave, who led a life worthy of its own story. He was a soldier. He was an award-winning editor, war correspondent, best-selling author, and he was one of the early affiliates of Newsmax. And joining us now is Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax. Hello, Chris.
Steve, great to be on with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I wish we were under better circumstances. Of course, you were very close to him, and I know that no one revered him more than you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think he's in a better place. He was sick, and he lived a very long life. Passed away at the age of 88, and had an incredible career over many, many decades. Started with D-Day. He was there at the landings at D-Day. He went into journalism after World War II. His family had fled occupied Nazi Belgium, escaped the few that did escaped the Holocaust. And I think after that war, he realized that he had to commit himself to a bigger purpose. And he went into journalism, was with UPI, then with Newsweek as their chief foreign correspondent for 25 years. He covered 17 wars as a war correspondent. Met some of the great figures of our time, of the 20th century, Charles de Gaulle, Winston Churchill, and he was very close with Ronald Reagan, as you know. So the world, I think, America is at a loss with the passing of Arnaud de Borchgrave this weekend, and he's somebody that I think Americans should mourn his passing.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And of course, his affiliation with Newsmax goes way, way back, correct?
Well, he was one of the founding board members of Newsmax. People may remember him from Newsweek. They may remember the book that he did, The Spike, which was a New York Times bestseller, where he talked about how the media was covering up for the Russians
in 1980.
Yeah, War.
Yeah, 1980.
And then he became editor of the Washington Times and Inside Magazine. And then he became chairman of UPI, and he also joined the board when I was starting my company, Newsmax. We were nothing big at the time, but he very much encouraged me to do Newsmax and was very active in the early days of the company. And then he became later on the advisory board of Newsmax, as he stayed at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, in Washington. But he was always a big supporter. He believed in the future of the Internet, saw it. He was a guy that embraced change, embraced technology. And I first met him actually when I was about 20 years of age. I was visiting my sister in West Palm Beach, and I saw an ad in the newspaper down here that he was going to be speaking for a local luncheon group. And they had a picture of him, and I thought, wow, I had heard about the Washington Times and Inside Magazine. I showed up, and they had a marching band introduce him.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, I said, how many journalists have marching bands introduce them? This must be a cool career. He was I don't remember everything he said at the time. I'm sure he was talking about the Soviet Union, but he was very riveting. And I got to know him a little better in the 90s as I became a journalist. And then I asked him to join the board of Newsmax, and he was a close friend, and I remain a close friend to his wife, his beautiful wife, Alexandra.
And, of course, our sympathies go out to the family. And, Chris, we have about a minute, but to the very end, I mean, he wrote about how we could not defeat ISIS without ground troops, correct?
Well, yeah, he was a realist. You know, he wasn't totally in favor of the Iraq invasion because he didn't know if we had a strategy after that. He once said after 9/11, Stephen, it's a statement that keeps resonating in my brain. He said, "We did not declare war on Islam. Radical Islam declared war on us."
Yeah, and that's something.
And he really believed in having a multi-pronged strategy in dealing with radical Islam. And he was very sensible, and he knows ISIS. The fact the Obama administration is not taking this threat more seriously is a grave threat to our security because they're planning to attack us here.
Yep.
And they now have a nation state to do it.
Well, Chris, may he rest in peace, and our sympathies again to his family and to you and to the entire Newsmax family on the loss of Arnaud de Borchgrave. Thank you, Chris Ruddy.